Hey everybody, it's Jim. It's Amadeus. It's a lovely August day out, August 1st. And welcome Amadeus. Last night, the U.S. women barely snuck into that second spot and did all they needed to do to get a tie. 1-1 draw, and didn't look good in it. By the way, our buddy Rye's in the house. Rye, good to see you, buddy. We're doing okay. Ponder, if you will, Rye. Well, Amadeus and I speak here for a moment about the U.S. women's team, about what your Phillies need, okay? They didn't get the guy you wanted them to get. So, and maybe Lucas Giolito was not the guy they should have got. But we'll see. We're monitoring the trades for you there, Rye. All right, Amadeus, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Your thoughts on the game.
It's good to see you, Rye. Good to see you in the chat. But this U.S. women's team, they look like a team that is not going to do well in this tournament. They needed to win yesterday to have a chance at winning the group. They did not. They advanced, but the Netherlands put up a 7-0 win against Vietnam, and that should tell you all you need to know. And going back to the first game they played. After they had beaten Vietnam 3-0, first of all, they were helped out a bit in that match. There was an offside goal that was called onside. It was called correctly offside on the field. VAR overturned it when it was offside, and that was one of their goals. Obviously, they also had the stopped penalty. VAR has been terrible in this tournament in general. And I saw another one yesterday where it was an offside goal. It was called correctly on the field, and then upon review it got changed when it was offside. But definitely some weird things going on there. But going back to this U.S. team, this is a team that they did not look good in that first match. And I said it to a friend of mine, and his response to me was what this was after the first match. His response was, "What are you talking about? They beat Vietnam 3-0. I said, yeah, but they struggled to score in that match. And he said, what do you mean they scored 3 goals? I said, that means nothing. I'm not saying, and I tried to explain, I'm not saying they were going to lose that match. They weren't going to lose that match because Vietnam wasn't going to score. But that could have been a scoreless draw easily. And as we've seen in their last 2 matches now, 1 goal in 2 matches, they're struggling to create chances. And it's not looking well for them. Yeah, right. That's an interesting point to make because, obviously them and the Canadian team, who we already saw Canada got kicked out in the group stage, both of them were having big arguments with their federations coming into this World Cup. So they were already dealing with massive distractions. And, the Canadians went home and they looked like they didn't want to be there. The U.S. team looks like they don't want to be there. And it looks like we're going to have a new World Cup champion this year on the women's side.
Yeah. I think that one of the other things, too, to remember is it's a very young team. And, they don't know how to act in cases like this. And there's Megan Rapinoe is there to help. But, she only played half of the game yesterday, early this morning. So I don't know, as you say, it's not that the talent's not there. It's that the focus isn't on it, and there's not a I've been there, done that feeling. So there's I hate to use the overused word swagger or whatever you want to call it. Good teams have that, and this is not a team that has an identity yet, let alone swagger. They really don't know who they are and where you can get the goals from, and that's showing out on this. And your point about the 3-0 is a great point because you can look good in any sport, and you can score in any sport and not look as good as And bottom line is, I screw this up and try to explain it, is that you don't have to look good sometimes to win by more points than the other team. You can literally play a bad game and still win.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it is. With the U.S., they can win because they have the talent. It's not that. It's the fact that they just should be winning by more, or at least playing with some cohesive thoughts. And we don't see that. And you're right.
Yeah,
Knockout round, they're going to see. They can't screw up once. If you screw up in the knockout round, that's what they call it, the knockout.
yeah. That match against Vietnam, they were favored by 6
Mhm.
goals,
Right.
close to 6.5, and they won 3-0.
Mhm.
And as we saw the Netherlands last night, the Netherlands came into that match knowing we can win this group, but we have to blow the doors off Vietnam here to get a better goal differential. And I think 7-0 speaks a lot of volumes in itself.
Yeah, that's not a touchdown, folks. That's 7 individual scores. It was impressive. It was
May as
impressive.
well have been an Iowa game.
Yeah, it's true. It was impressive. And now, so all right, you've seen pretty much everybody play. Who is going to be the winner? Is it? I mean, is it the Dutch? I mean, the Netherlands. Are they the best, or have you seen somebody that you think would be better?
So I'm going to go down the list here of the favored teams, and we'll talk a bit about each one.
Okay, sure.
So USA is still favored at plus 350.
Really?
That looks like it's not going to pan out now.
Right.
Obviously, from what we've seen, they're struggling to score goals. And if you can't score goals, you're going to run into trouble. Obviously, we've seen the defensive styles go far in these tournaments. We saw Morocco go all the way to the semifinals, but that's where they were stopped.
Right.
And in the bronze medal match, they ended up getting destroyed by Croatia in a match where Croatia didn't have to play defensively. There was no pressure on them, and they just let it loose. So scoring goals is very important. And that's something the USA is struggling with right now. So I don't think they're going to win it now. Spain is the next team at plus 400. From what I saw in that Japan match, they're not going anywhere. They tend to get overly aggressive, and they leave their back line very vulnerable to the counterattack. Right. And literally, like, Japan did not touch that ball in the match. They literally, they're like the most possession they had consistently was on those counterattacks coming down the field. So it was a great performance by Japan, but awful by the Spanish defense. And if that's the way they're going to play defense throughout the entire tournament, when they have to play against these better teams where they have to get a little more aggressive on the attack, they're going to get ripped apart. So then England is plus 450 is the next team. England was a team I thought was overrated coming into the tournament. I still do think they're overrated. They destroyed China this morning 6-1. So it looks like they're starting to gain some momentum. But, a 1-0 win against Haiti and a 1-0 win against Denmark was not impressive at all. And I still think eventually, from what I've seen, the way they won the Euro Cup last year, and from what I've seen when they play some of the top 10 teams in the world, they're another one that struggles to get by. They usually need extra time. And if they have to go and play a lot of penalties, odds are they're not going to win every penalty kick they have to play. So England is still a team I think is overrated. Right now, the best looking team would be Japan at plus 800 and France at plus 1200. France looked nasty in their game against Brazil. They were absolutely all over Brazil in that entire match. And I know France drew 0-0 with Jamaica in their first match.
Right.
But again, I always like the first match of the tournament, I will give a pass for, just because it's always tough in the first match. We see a lot of unders. We see a lot of defensive styles as teams are still trying to, get a feel. They haven't really played. They've played in friendlies together, but they haven't played in a meaningful match on the pitch in months prior to that first match. Not to mention the fact that the World Cup's in Australia, which is just an awkward time zone to get accustomed to if you're not from there. So, and Jamaica's from our part of the world as well. So same, and France obviously from Europe. So you're working with two teams there that probably weren't quite accustomed to the time zone and weren't quite ready in that first match. So it doesn't surprise me that France didn't score on Jamaica. We'll see what they do tonight against Panama, who lost 4-0 to Brazil. But France looked really good in their last match against Brazil. I think they can be they were actually a team that I had discounted coming into the tournament. I thought they were overrated as well. But this is a team that's starting to turn the tide on me. I think Japan is a good contender. And even the Netherlands, from what we saw obviously last night with the 7-0 win and how they played against the USA. But the Netherlands, this was a team that I believe they were the runners up at the last World Cup. They lost to USA in the final 4 years ago. And, they got a big motivation pep talk from Dutch star Arjen Robben before this World Cup. He told them they can do something. They can do something great at this tournament. So they're playing with a lot of belief right now. They're playing with a lot of confidence in themselves, obviously, especially after winning the group again with the defending champions in it. So I think Netherlands is going to be a threat. France is going to be a threat. Japan is going to be a threat. Colombia is definitely going to be a dark horse at plus 6,600. They beat Germany in their last match. They dominated South Korea in a match that really the books thought it was going to go either way. And Colombia is they are the Copa America runners up. I know we've talked a lot about how Brazil won the Copa America last year, but Colombia was the team they beat in that finals, and that was the only match Colombia had lost in the entire tournament. It was the only goal they had conceded in the entire tournament to Brazil. So Colombia's a dark horse, I think. France, Japan, Netherlands are going to be serious threats. Switzerland's been surprising. I don't know if they'll be a threat to win it all, but I think Switzerland could go deep. And, Sweden, I need to see what they do tonight because they weren't great. I know they beat South Africa in their first match, but they weren't great. They blew the doors off by Italians in the last match. So that's one where I got to see what happens tonight because Sweden's the number 3 team in the world. So right. I got to see what Sweden does tonight. If they continue to carry that momentum from their 5-0 win over Italy, then they're going to be a threat too going into the round of 16.
Early, I remember this, and when we were talking about the tournament starting, you actually were on Japan. You had mentioned that you liked the makeup of the team, and that it was one of those teams that you weren't necessarily on them to win the whole thing, but you were on them to go deep into the tournament. So you were on it before it happened, and we just keep saying. In watching them, they're not overly talented, but they play as a unit. They're very fast, and they just seem to do the fundamentals right, which sounds obvious, but isn't always obvious. If they can they play to win, and how about that? They're winning. So
Japan. I believe that came up when you had mentioned a few weeks before the World Cup had started that nobody in Japan wanted the TV rights for it. And I said that's absurd because they're actually ranked 11th. But at the time I said they were a top 10 team, which they're pretty much almost there. But this is a very good team that's almost ranked in the top 10 of the world. And I talked a lot about how they had the experience in this competition. They were the last team that wasn't USA to win the Women's World Cup back in 2011. Not to mention, they also were the runners-up in the one after that. I think they lost to USA in the finals that first year that USA won it to start this 2 streak that they're on. But this is a Japan team. As you said, they have the speed. They have some experience on their side, and I think they're a very good team. Especially they showed in their match against Zambia. We can beat up on bad teams that are worse than us because they won that one 5-0. Then they showed me in their match against Spain, we don't have to hold the ball. We know we're going to get dominated in possession in this match, and we're still going to score 4 goals on you. So they are a team that can play 2 very different styles, and that's going to make them very dangerous going deep into this tournament.
And that's the kind of stuff you look at and go, okay, didn't see these. Saw them coming, but didn't think they're going to be here that fast. And not a bad result, that's for sure. And we'll have to see. But it's gonna. Look, we end up with a wide open tournament, and that's really all you can ask for, right? You want to see good soccer played by. Sometimes it's nice to see the little guy win, and maybe that's the case. It's going to happen this time.
Yeah, one team I don't think is obviously going to win it, but it wouldn't shock me. I'm not going to put any expectations on them, but it wouldn't shock me to see them make a deep run. I think Nigeria has been a very surprising team in this tournament.
Yeah.
Defensively, they've been very good defensively, and they can definitely score goals. The African teams, I've noticed the Asian teams tend to play a more defensive style in their matches, especially when you look at like the Asian Cups and things like that. They play very defensively against each other, unless they're playing a team that they're better than, then they're going to blow them out. But and then with the Africans, there's usually a lot of goals in those matches. When you watch like the African Cups type things, like these are teams that usually concede and they usually score a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we have a very good Japan side that plays defensive, but they can also score. And we have this Nigerian side with a great attack that is playing very well on defense right now. So those are two of your not generic European or American, North and South American teams. So there, I give you an Asian side and an African side I could see going deep into the tournament, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't, because that's the thing, right? Like it's easy to talk about all the European, and it's always like if you look at the first 5 names, right? Like USA is obviously North American, they're ranked at the top of the group. But Spain, England, Germany, three of the top 5 are European teams. Obviously, Australia is number 6, but I know Australia has the home advantage. But I really don't think Australia is that great of a team.
Well, I mean, even with the home advantage, they've looked a little wonky from time to time.
Yeah, they blew the doors off Canada, but their defense is questionable against Nigeria.
Yeah. I've been, for those of you wondering what I've been doing here for the past couple of seconds looking down, I've been checking the trade wire here and seeing what's going on. The Diamondbacks are in on the Tigers, Mike Lorenzen, which makes some sense. The Rockies got now. Why the Rockies are trading? I don't know, but okay. They got Justin Brule. They're your boys. This morning, your Blue Jays acquired Paul DeJong.
So they got it's on the Cardinals, right?
Yeah, he's the shortstop.
Yeah.
And Bo Bichette's got that problem.
Yeah, so there you go.
Remember we were ragging on poor Noah Syndergaard the other day?
Yeah.
He got hurt last night and probably wasn't going to pitch for a while. So
I saw that, and he actually pitched pretty well in that game.
He looked pretty good.
And it's a different injury. So he was dealing with the finger blister up to that start, goes and pitches like a good 4-point-something innings, and now he's got a leg injury. Like, really?
But honestly, sometimes that happens because you're compensating for one part of the body and the other part gives up on it. You got to be careful in that. Yeah, it's amazing. By the way, Justin Verlander, who we had traded 3 or 4 times yesterday just during the show, is now it's basically who isn't in on Justin Verlander. We've taken a lot less time to tell you. It looks like that the John Paul Morosi, who's MLB Network, and John Paul's as wired as anybody into what's going on. He and Bob Nightingale say that Justin Verlander, Rangers, Astros, Dodgers are in on Justin Verlander. So 2 Texas teams and the LA team won. It would not surprise me if the Astros, because he's been there, done that, pulled this off and ended up with getting him. Because, again, Jim Crane, who owns the Astros, is someone who Justin likes. Dusty Baker's a manager who he can't possibly not like. So yeah, I could see Verlander back in an Astros uniform, and if he were to end up in Texas, there's that. But I do think that somebody's going to get him by the trade deadline because they're just dangling people out there and saying go for it. And you got a guy like Justin Verlander. If you have the option to get him, you just better grab him. And I think that that could be it. I just literally just seconds ago, there's a report that just came through that the Orioles have discussed Justin Verlander with the Mets. So Justin Verlander basically is, as I said, it's probably easier to talk about those players those teams that didn't watch Justin Verlander than it is all of them who do. So Justin Verlander's hanging out there. We'll see if if the facts come through before 6 o'clock, then we'll see how it turns out. But Justin Verlander is another one of those guys that you got to keep an eye on. So
yeah, we actually we got Rye Cape in the chat saying that Verlander's being stubborn with his no trade clause. So
well, I would be too.
That's the big issue holding everything up there.
Well, that's why I'm thinking the Astros, right? He's been to the team. He knows the team. They know him. You don't. He could almost walk in the locker room and go to his locker he's had for the last 3 years, and it would be like home. So that's why I keep thinking, in the proverbial, it makes too much sense. So that's why it won't happen. It looks to me like Houston is probably, even though nobody said it, Houston, I think, is probably got the inside track. I mean, if you're Verlander, where do you want to go? You got Texas, you got the Astros, you got the Braves.
He just left the Astros. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah, well, you left the Astros because he signed a massive deal with the Mets.
They're just gonna take that back on. They could have signed him for the same deal.
1 year the money's off the books. So.
That's true. I guess the Mets are gonna front some of that as well.
So they're gonna eat. Now, did we talk about this yesterday? Fascinating thing to me, and that was the stat that Scherzer is pitching now for Texas. He's getting paid. He's the first Major League Baseball player to play in the league who actually is getting paid by 3 teams at the same time.
3 teams.
3 teams. He's got the Mets are paying money because that was part of the deal to take him. So the Mets, he's getting paid money by the Mets. He obviously is getting paid money by Texas, and he's got deferred money from his deal with the Nationals. So he's got 3 revenue streams coming to the Scherzer household.
Of course, the Nationals are still paying for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon to do deals that are laid out over time, and a lot of teams do it. A lot of players like it. It's kind of like an annuity, right? It keeps going. Remember, what was it? Bobby Bonilla, who signed. God, that was back in the early '80s. Bonilla just on his 60th birthday cashed his last check, from the Mets, on a deferred payment. So I mean, it's and the reason it's done, it makes sense. If you're going to give him a big contract to say a Mike Trout, right? Are you going to give him $500 million, over the course of 5 years? No, you're going to talk to him and try to, move that money out. Otherwise, you can't afford to put together a team. You'd have 2 people on the team. So deferred money has to be, involved. Otherwise, you can't sustain the Dodgers and the Yankees probably can sustain it. But other than that, it's tough. And so what you hope to do is not to have a lot of dead money on the books, where you got guys who Strasburg is in Washington is definitely one of those situations where he had that great 2019. He signs the big contract and hasn't pitched much at all since. So that happens sometimes. Other times you get a guy like a Justin Verlander who can go out and pitch for you for 8-10 years without having any problems. So we'll see. But yeah, they're all 3 paying Mad Max in this situation. So good on Max. You got a good deal there. So there you go. Let me just real quick take a quick look back. Let's see. The D-backs are okay. Diamondbacks got closer Paul Sewald from from the Mariners, so clearly they're out.
Yeah, I guess the Mariners is the time for the Mariners to sell. Then I'm so
Yeah,
shocked that they would
yeah,
make that move.
well, yeah, you trade away your closer. That probably does give you kind of a pause. The Rays, and this was
They've been hot too. That's why I'm shocked with the Mariners.
Yeah. And the Guardians traded Aaron Savale to the Rays. So there's that. We've got, let's see, Jermaine scratched from the lineup tonight for the Yankees. Okay, they're not trading him. They just scratched him because he has a sore arm. Jemmer Candelario, the third baseman of the Nationals, was traded to the Cubs. That was kind of an interesting thing. He's a pretty good player. He's one of those guys that came up quietly through the ranks and has done well for the Nationals. But I'm a little surprised at why the Cubs would take a third baseman. I didn't think they needed him, but yes, they must. So there's that. Any other stuff going on? Let me real quick go through it. I don't see anything. We got. We've always.
I guess Lance Lynn went to the Dodgers.
It looks that way. Yeah.
He's supposed to be starting for them tonight.
There you go.
I don't know why they would even want him, but
somebody's got to want. Yeah. Somebody figured it out. What's anything in the UEFA Champions League stuff that we should be paying attention to?
I mean, it's going to be a big next 2 days and today. We've already had a majority of today's matches finished.
Right.
I think there's a few that are starting now. We got Ludogorets and Olympia are tied 1-1. Got Bate Borisov and Errol Limassol from Cyprus. Limassol is winning 2-1. They absolutely slaughtered Bate 6-2 at home in the first leg, and now they're beating them on the road 2-1 again. It's 8-3 on aggregate right now.
Wow.
They don't even need to be winning, and they're winning the match anyway. And then
crushing.
And then Panathinaikos is beating Dnipro. Or no, that's tied 1-1, but they're winning on aggregate 4-2. So a lot going on in the Champions League. There's going to be some big matches tomorrow. Astana is down 4-0 on aggregate to Dynamo Zagreb. They're probably going to get kicked out. Karabag is down 3-2 on aggregate to Rakow Czechokova, and I think that Karabag's a very good team at home. They have a strong home advantage because traveling to Azerbaijan is pretty much like going to Asia, basically. So it's far travel for some of these teams. It might not be as far for Czechoslovakia, but I think Karabag's a very good home team. So that could be one. They're only minus 106 right now. That could be a team that wins tomorrow. Genk at home to Servette. That one's 1-1 on aggregate. That's another one where I think Genk was they won. I think they won the Belgian title last year. They finished with the most points. I forget what happened in they had to do well in the playoff series at the end of the league. But yeah, they're a lot better than Servette is. I could see them winning that one at home. Maccabi Haifa down 1-0 on aggregate to Sheriff Tiraspol. Haifa's at home tomorrow. They'll probably win that one because Sheriff's got a good defense. It'll be interesting because Sheriff's gonna try and cling on to that 1-0 lead for sure. And Maccabi Haifa obviously is a very strong team at home. They could score 4 goals on them, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. We got Mold and Helsinki. Helsinki's up 1-0 on aggregate. Mold's at home for that one. And then Copenhagen and Breidablik. Copenhagen is winning 2-0 on aggregate from their trip to Iceland. Now they're going to be at home, so they'll probably wrap that one up. And the big one, Galatasaray and Zalgiris tied 2-2 on aggregate. Galatasaray is going to be at home for that one. They'll probably be the team that goes through. But again, Galatasaray lost a lot of their attack talent in the transfer window. So I'm interested to see what this team does this year.
It's just as I was speaking. Remember we just mentioned, I wonder what the Cubs are doing in getting a third baseman. While we were talking about that, the Rays just got 2 right-handed pitchers from them. So it's like, okay, I mean, normally you try to keep your pitchers, going, but I don't know. I guess the Cubs are like, oh, well, come on, let's trade. So good on them. They got, let me give you quick information on this. They acquired Adrian Sampson and Manuel Rodriguez. Sampson and Rodriguez. They also were given international bonus money from the Cubs for minor league pitcher Josh Robertson. And that's it. So Sampson, who's 31, joined the Cubs rotation in late June, and he took Marcus Stroman's place on the rotation. In 19 starts with the Cubs, he has a 3.28 ERA, not bad. Low strikeout rate, which suggests that basically he's probably, a sinker ball pitcher. He's only got 1.9 on his arbitration deal left, so they got a guy that can control Sampson at 31, and somebody who's pitched, relatively decently for the Cubs this year, and Manuel Rodriguez. Let's give you that bit of information on him. Manuel Rodriguez, 5-3 with an ERA of 4.68 in 34 games with the Cubs. So that's what they got. And, as I said, usually you don't see teams trading pitchers. Trading away pitchers for players, and the Cubs scored runs. I mean, they got Jock Peterson. I always thought that, who am I to say, as the old saying goes? If that's what they want, they got it. I guess that's what they want. So.
Yeah, I don't know. They're like right at 500 right now too. They're just
but the thing is, they're not out of it. That's the funny part, right?
Well, neither are the Mariners, and they're giving their closer away. So
that's a good point. And that's a very good point. Who was it to trade the closer and still won the division? They literally just traded and bought at the same time. So I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing. All righty. Let's see. Tomorrow we talked about it. Tomorrow's the game where we get to see Lionel Messi again against Orlando. Game being played in Fort Lauderdale, and we'll see how the circus continues. Right?
Yeah, like I said, they could advance tomorrow. They very well might win that match, but it's very obvious that a Mexican club is going to win this tournament.
It's gonna blow the doors off of them, and you got to think. You got to think that in the case of Miami, the thing with Orlando is, and the reason I think Miami could probably do it and beat them is because Orlando just hasn't put, a game together for an entire game. I mean, they had, bright spots in the early, in the first half, bright spots in the second half, but, kind of sloppy in the middle. They've been up and down and all over the place. So we'll see. But that's a to be continued type situation.
Yes.
With you said yesterday there's probably 4 or 5 teams from down there that from down in Mexico that could take this thing and walk away with it.
Yeah, definitely. We saw Toluca destroy Colorado last night, 4-1. They were like a plus 160. There's I'm telling you. So tomorrow, maybe there might be a little bit of a fake out because Mazatlán, Pachuca, Juarez, they're closer. Maybe not so much Pachuca, but Mazatlán and Juarez are like some of the worst teams in Mexico. And we're talking about a Mazatlán team that finished first in the group stage with 5 points. So you know, if the MLS teams win tomorrow, I wouldn't be shocked. But it's these other ones. Like when New England plays Atlas, that's not going to be easy. I don't like how Unam Pumas and Querétaro are playing each other, two Mexican sides. I don't think they should have done it like that. Cruz Azul against Charlotte. That'll be an interesting one. Charlotte is not a good team. I know Cruz Azul hasn't been playing well, but they're a hell of a lot better than Charlotte is. Leon. You're getting plus 187. They're favoring Real Salt Lake at home against Leon, the CONCACAF Champions League champions. The team that went into Vancouver, won in the penalty kicks there. They beat the Galaxy in LA. Now they're going down to Salt Lake, who got destroyed by Monterrey in one of their matches at home. Yeah, just take Leon plus 187 now.
Foxy's on the Libertadores.
Yeah, Foxy, good to see. He had another comment earlier about the Women's World Cup. He had a nice night in the Women's World Cup. Yeah, he also mentions how the U.S. team is so bad, but yeah, you know, I was expecting more from them, Foxy, but they don't look good. Definitely got to give you that one. They do not look good right now.
So right, Bruce Arena's in trouble for an inappropriate remark again. I didn't see that. That it doesn't surprise me, but it doesn't. The Cubs front office stinks. Okay, well, you know, they're certainly schizophrenic. I'll go that far. Let's see what else we got here. He blocked the Dodgers, so I assume he wants to stay east.
That's Verlander.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised he blocked the Dodgers, although I don't know. I just have this feeling, right, that he's going to end up in Houston. I just think that's, you know, if those, you know, unless he ends up at the Orioles, but that would be a really big surprise to me. I think a lot of it, not because, you know, he wouldn't be a good key player on the team, but they would have to give up, you know, some serious young players to get him. And I don't know that he would make that much of a difference in the Orioles rotation that it would that they would want to screw around with giving away some of their prospects. So I'll know. Be interesting. Foxy's got a take on the U.S. women. How the U.S. women team looks. Okay. Motivation away from personal. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We talked about earlier, Foxy, that focus is not something that the U.S. women's team seems to have.
Them and the Canadian team, right? They were distracted by these conversations right before the World Cup, and it showed up on the pitch, as far as I'm concerned.
And you know, you would hope, and it's easy to say it, but you would hope that if you can't get focused for the World Cup, what are you going to get focused for?
There's nothing else, right? It's the biggest competition, and that's the other thing is they might also be. Obviously, this is a younger team. It doesn't have the same experience, and it's not the same team that won the last two. But you're still playing under the reputation and the name, and you know they could be playing with that fat and happy, like, oh, we've won it twice in a row. We're gonna walk through this, and you know, clearly you're not gonna walk through anything because now. You've struggled against the weaker teams in the competition. Now you're gonna have to face the real big teams. Keep in mind, so they tied Portugal last night, and
right.
As Foxy said, Portugal almost stole that match at the end. Portugal's out of the tournament now. So just imagine when they come across, you know, a team like England or Spain or even Japan. I could see Japan picking them apart. So. It'll be interesting. They're going to have to face a group winner now as well because they finished second in the group. So they're going to have a very tough round of 16 match for sure.
Well, you know, this could be one of those times when things don't go well for the U.S. women. And look, they've had a run. They've had a very good run since '94. So, you know, if they have to take a step back to get to get centered and get ready, well then, you know, so be it. You know, there's always somebody's hungrier than you are to get it. And I think you named 4 or 5 teams that could very well be there. So we'll see how it. They don't play again until next week, right? Is it next week? I mean, because they haven't finished the group stage yet.
Yeah, it'll be either the weekend or after the weekend. Their match isn't scheduled yet because I believe I'm not exactly sure how the tree works with the seeding, but their matchup is probably going to come from the winner of one of these groups that plays tonight. There's 2 groups that go overnight tonight because the only ones we have right now for the next round are Switzerland. They won their group. They're going to be playing Spain, who came second in their group when really that feels like it should have been reversed, but that's what we get. Then the next one, Japan's going to play Norway. Japan's probably going to blow the doors off Norway the way Norway has played in this tournament. And then we got England and Nigeria on the Monday, and Australia taking on Denmark. That's a winnable match for the hosts. So it'll be interesting to see.
Okay, so what? All right, so yeah, I was just gonna say it's interesting to see what's going on about that, because I don't know. That might be a good opportunity for the team from Japan to show that they can rock with anybody.
You know what? I might be able to tell you who U.S. is going to play. Just give me 1 minute here.
Take your time.
Let me see here. Yeah. I just need to see the seeding.
It would be very Colombian if they lose to Morocco. They always follow a historic result with a shocker. That's funny.
Who's he talking about?
USA plays on Sunday, Bryce says.
USA plays on. Okay, so yeah. So it might be scheduled for Sunday, but we don't know who they're playing.
It should be determined.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how it's going to work. I don't even know, really.
We're not, I don't know, Ryan. I think I saw a place where, it's Sunday, but I don't think they even have the time yet. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Normally I get that from the networks, and there wasn't anything from Fox today on schedules.
So they're playing the winners of Group G, which means they're probably going to get Sweden in the next round.
Oh, okay. I
Because
don't
that
know much about Sweden. Are they good?
They're 2-0. They're ranked number 3 in the world, so
that would be good.
They were ranked number 2, but Germany has taken over them. That was fairly recent, but yeah, because it looks like so Sweden. So they're going to play the winner of this group: Argentina, Sweden, South Africa, and Italy. And right now, Sweden's leading the group with 6. Argentina has 1. They looked awful in their first match. Italy has 3 points, and South Africa has 1 point. But it's one of those situations where literally Italy is the only team that could win the group over Sweden, and Sweden would have to lose outright to Argentina for that to happen, which doesn't seem likely. So I would say that USA is probably going to play Sweden in the next round.
And there you go, boys and girls. So we'll have to see how that plays out, which could be anything but bizarre. We'll see.
Yeah, they're lucky because the other match, it would have been Brazil or France, and either team that wins that group would have been a lot tougher than Sweden.
Yeah, that's not a result that anybody wants to see. USA would rather play Sweden than France. Brazil. Yeah, that's true. Germany. Well.
Literally what I just said, Foxy. Right. If they had got that other group, I think France or Brazil would have. As bad as Brazil looked against France, they still looked great against Panama. But yeah, I agree. I don't like the way Sweden is playing. I know they blew the doors off my Italians, but I didn't think Italy was a good team coming into the tournament, to be fair. I actually had Argentina qualifying over Italy. Now, it's definitely not going to happen because South Africa has a better chance of qualifying than Argentina does at this point. But I still think, Sweden, they struggled. They were down 1-0 to South Africa. They ended up winning that 2-1 with the late 90th minute goal, but they struggled in that match. They looked great in against Italy, as I keep saying, but that's why Sweden was one of those teams. I think when we went over who I thought was going to be a deep threat at the beginning of the show, Sweden was a team I said, I want to see what they do tonight. If they carry that momentum from the 5-0 win, then yeah, they might actually beat USA easily. But if they struggle in this match against Argentina, Argentina's defense was awful against South Africa. So if they struggle in this match, then USA is going to have an easier matchup with Sweden for sure.
Yeah, no. The good news is we can see it on the weekend. So get some time to get some relaxation. You don't have to do it during the work week. You can see. And look, who knows? Maybe they catch fire. Maybe they actually start playing to their to their talents. You never know, but we will see. All right, guys. Wednesday coming up tomorrow, we will take a look at least 4, I think maybe even 5 games tomorrow that are Leagues Cup games, and we'll see how that's going. We already talked a little bit about Miami and Orlando. We'll touch base on that one. We'll also finally know where Justin Verlander's traded to. We've had him traded 6 different times, but we'll figure out how that goes. And we'll see if there's any last minute surprises in the baseball world with regards to that. So I need to talk about tomorrow, and we're also getting into in the not too distant future NFL training camps. Some of them already opened, and others this week. So we'll get some news out of there. So all kinds of stuff going on. And speaking of all kinds of stuff, Amadeus, you're up. What can we look forward to seeing at your links today down in the show?
You can get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. As you just said, the links are down in the description. And what I have up for today, I got 2 plays in the MLB. We have a Champions League qualifier that has already started and is winning right now. We got 2 in the Copa Sudamericana and 2 in the Copa Libertadores. And no, Foxy, I'm not on your Fluminense match at all. So, I'm rooting for you. I know you're going to be gripping that ticket for life because they haven't looked good lately. They actually have a pretty tough match against Argentinos Juniors. But we'll see what happens. I'll be rooting for you, Foxy, with your Fluminense. But, yeah, definitely you can I got 2 Copa Libertadores, 2 Sudamericana.
And baseball.
2 MLB, and then I got 4 up for the Women's World Cup, which is overnight, including my group stage total of the year. So you can go and check that out. That one's at 3 a.m. kickoff.
Yes. Yeah. For those of you in the Eastern time zone. For others, it might be a time you can actually watch.
A more manageable midnight out on the West.
That would appear, so to speak. Yeah, that would. I'd probably wake up in time for the game at 5 after that. But yeah, a lot going on. We're going to have some fun tomorrow. So, all right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming by. We appreciate it. For Amadeus, I'm Jim. We will see you tomorrow at around 2 o'clock, just like normal. Take care, guys.